conflict between government and treatment expectations really started to affect me in a way that I just couldn't navigate it to the degree that I needed to or wanted to anymore.
Hey there, it's Kelly from ZindyMe. Before we get started on today's episode, I want to invite you to one of our greatest trainings ever. It's how to build and grow a profitable solo or group practice sustainably. All you got to do is check it out at zindyme.com/podcast. All right, on to our episode. Welcome back to the podcast. Today we're joined by another success story, Amity Olson, who is an LCSW in Florida. We're going to be talking about her journey through private practice and what she sees moving forward from what she's learned from her time serving people in this special way. Let's get started. Hey, Amity.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Tell me about why you chose private practice of all the ways that you could use your LCSW. Why this?
Yeah. So I was drawn to it. I got burned out in my previous position. I was working for the state of Wisconsin as a treatment provider in a civil commitment facility and had been doing that for about 13 years.
Wow.
Math is weird. I feel like
Time
it's
is
less,
weird.
but probably right. Time is weird. And so I enjoyed what I was doing, but the conflict between government and treatment expectations really started to affect me in a way that I just couldn't navigate it to the degree that I needed to or wanted to anymore. And so it was after COVID, and obviously everything that was set up to do private practice out of your home and be very flexible about options, that really intrigued me, and I leaned into that. And so, I started doing my research, started making plans, and about a year after that, made the transition.
What was that transitional period like for you? Because some people make a full leap, they quit their job and start the practice. Sometimes people do like the bridging the gap kind of overlay of doing both things a little bit what did you do?
So in order for me to make the leap, it meant my husband needed to do something different. And so it meant more changes than just for me. Because in order for us to have the financial safety that both of us felt comfortable with, it meant he was going to have to do something different, which was a huge ask for me. He is in finance. He's in an entirely different world. And so for him, within his career, moving around and kind of moving every couple of years, that was the norm, not my norm. And so it was a big deal for me to ask for that from him. And so we navigated that. And in that process, we gave ourselves a timeline. Hey, if this happens within the next 2 years, this is what we're going to go for. He found a position that met his needs and met our needs as a family, which then allowed me to fully move from that state position immediately into private practice. I did not do a bridge just because I was our son he was in middle school at the time, so not baby, but young. And just navigating all that stuff, working full time, taking care of a kid, and then trying to do practice work on top of that, that just wasn't something I could do. So I had to do a clean break from one before starting the other.
What happened with your burnout as you went into private practice?
It eased up so much because I was able to do things the way I needed to and wanted to. Part of the transition was us moving from Wisconsin to Florida.
Wow.
And so in that, I gave myself 2 months to really get all of us settled down here before I really leaned into the practice, which was helpful. And so I didn't rush it, but also always kind of kept moving towards that goal. But it was really helpful because I could finally, in my previous job, I had an hour commute each way. all of a sudden I was working from home and I
Mm-hmm.
had no commute and I
Mm-hmm.
could be more present in a way that felt more aligned with me as a person, but also as a mom and as a partner. And so it really eased that for me.
Can we talk a little bit about like moving to a new place and starting a business there? Like,
Yeah.
what was that like? I mean, that's kind of unique. You know, sometimes people,
Yeah.
they've been in the place where they're building a practice and they already have connections and
Mm-hmm.
community. And here you are kind of fully starting from scratch.
Yeah, I had none of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at the time, I really didn't think much of it. Um, I, yeah, it was okay for me. I'm an introvert in general. And
Mm-hmm.
so, like, making the connection piece wasn't as big of a motivator or goal for me starting out um, as it may have should have been, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I started out with just the basics. I got onto BetterHelp just to get easy money, quick money in, um, while starting a Psychology Today profile. And
Mm-hmm.
then that was my main source. And I quickly built up to a full caseload within a few months
And then what
of that.
happened?
And then I got burned out.
Right. Yeah.
I got burned out because um, I was in my previous life, I was doing groups. I did a lot of groups, working primarily only with adult men. Um, and so I was maybe doing four hours of therapy in a day, right? Um, to now going to seven. No, even at that time, I was doing 8 sessions in a day, back to back.
How many days a
Um,
week?
four,
Mm-hmm.
4 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I'm like, okay, well, that's not sustainable for any stretch of the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm, I've now, we can get to that. I now have a better understanding of what I need, but I definitely, as my caseload transitioned to more of my own clients versus BetterHelp, I was able to wean off of some of that because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't need to do as much to make as much.
Mm-hmm.
So some of that just kind of naturally happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it has been a trial and error process since then to find the right balance.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I'm still kind of playing around with that.
Yeah, I think that this is really important because I want to sit here for a moment
Sure.
because the amount that I could sit 10 years ago is different than what I could sit today.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
type of work I could do is different. Like it changes and there really takes time to understand ourselves, right? And
yes.
really some of us have to we some of us know without doing and some of us have to do and feel it that way to
Mm-hmm.
kind of what how would you say that you're like navigating it? Are you like I have to try it on first and really enact it and then see how it feels kind of person? Or are you just running different scenarios kind of in your mind, playing them out and feeling into it?
Probably I started out with the latter.
Mm,
Definitely like, okay, here's an option. I'm going to go for it.
right,
Right. Um, because there's so much I realized I didn't know that I didn't know.
right.
Right? I had done a ton of research in preparing for this transition and this launch. I had not focused my energy on the different layouts or the different approaches as far as scheduling and things. I hadn't paid attention to that.
Hmm.
And so as I started doing that and I learned more about what other people were doing and how that felt for them, I'm like, oh, let me try that. Let me try that without really taking time to think about how does that align with me, right?
Hmm.
Where now in the last probably almost a year ago exactly, I started being like, okay, I need to just pause and be more intentional about the changes and the transitions, and really letting them play out a little bit more. In that, I still have made mistakes. I still have taken leaps or steps that I'm like, ooh, that didn't work out so well. Yet at the same time, I don't feel a panic about that like I did when I was responding from like, oh, I need to shift. Here's an option. Let me try it. I feel like I now have more of the groundwork or the foundation laid out, that taking those leaps doesn't feel as scary anymore, because I know how to shift and adapt if I need to, or when I need to.
So where have you landed right now in terms of what your practice looks like?
So I realized that I can only do maybe 5 sessions max in a day. I need a balance between therapy work and other things. So for example, I love numbers. I love the budgeting admin side of practice. And so I'm like, you know what? Why don't I offer that as a service to providers who may need it or want it? And kind of building up that, scratching that itch for myself in a way, like I can balance out my like very black and white mind with my very clinical mind. And really creating a balance in that, where each day that I work, I'm doing some clinical work and some admin,
projects,
educational,
other stream of income.
Right, because I can mentally and I can mentally shift very well from person to person to person. Emotionally, I cannot shift from person to person to person to the extent that I was doing before. It's just too draining. And so by the end of the day, I'm toast. And this gives me, at least right now, the balance that feels right.
And what's happened with your relationship with BetterHelp?
Oh, that ended almost within like 3 months, 4 months. That really was
burnout.
Oh, and that was always intended to be short term.
Yeah.
It was always intended for me to have something coming in financial wise while the other stuff developed. And I still, I currently, one of the risks I took was in December or whatever. I made the transition to include intensive services, which I love, and which also helps me balance out. If I can sit with one person for a significant period of time, that is amazing. I love that. The risk I took, though, was cutting back quite a bit my individual sessions in order to accommodate that. While that went well for a period of time, it didn't work so well with the summer slump. And so having to contract with other companies in order to fill my caseload for the summer months. Having learned from that, I now know to prepare for that better. For this next year. But if I focusing on what I need versus what may work better for others, it is a different framework that I've shifted to.
What would you define as success in private practice for you?
And one of my clients mentioned, we were doing a values assessment this week, and one of her clients, she highlighted my main value is peace. And all of my other values are in service to peace. I don't know if peace is quite right, and is more along the lines of just whenever I think of it, I just feel like a sigh, like a,
Mm.
oh, okay, here we are, right? Like
A
it's just,
settling.
yeah, that is a great way of saying it. Like a settling, a stability that works with me versus me having to work against it. I am now able, I get up without an alarm clock, right? I'm able
Mm-hmm.
to ease into my day and um, do things that I really enjoy versus um, things that others tell me that I should or shouldn't be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that includes working with the clients that I enjoy, right? I worked with all only adult men, and now my primary niche is working with women, moms. Um, I never thought that would happen. I just assumed, like, I've always worked with men. I will continue to work with men. Like, that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I would just, I really connect with moms having kind of lived the same experiences I've lived, and I'm able to help them navigate some of the things that I've navigated or that I continue to navigate, and just hold space for that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's much more fulfilling
Mm-hmm.
than other options for me at
Mm-hmm.
this point.
There is something about that, like oftentimes our niche is a part of us, like a part of our own
Yeah,
story and growth as well.
yeah, yeah. And to speak to that, part of that is I love working with moms raising kids with food allergies.
Mm.
I am a mom raising a kid with food allergies. And so brings its own special, unique trauma that not
Mm-hmm.
everybody has experience or knowledge of, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
um, I know I felt lonely going through that process.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's absolutely a way for me to, again, be present to other people's experiences and help them navigate those
Mm-hmm.
things that
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for others to really understand at times.
Where do you see your practice going in the next few years?
Well, it's moving out of Florida. We're moving to Iowa next year. And so a big part of my, just in general, my commitment this year was to develop my own referral network. And so I have really been leaning into that, and specifically preparing for the move to Iowa, reaching out to contacts, developing those contacts already, and laying some groundwork for what that transition can feel like or look like for me.
Mm-hmm.
Being that I'm only telehealth, I mean, it's not going to be a whole lot different, but it definitely has given me a better understanding of the resources and the mindset shift
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, that comes from being in Iowa versus Florida, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so there's that. Um, I see myself continuing to find the balance and adapt. My son graduates from high school next year. And
Wow.
so my husband and I will be empty nesters. And that opens up other opportunities and options.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get back into education. I want to teach. I dipped my toe in years ago when our son was like a baby. Then obviously that became too much, and got to get that up. So I see myself leaning into that as far as a way to find balance. Um, I also want to go back for my doctorate
Mm-hmm.
and do that. And so I see myself um, using my practice as a way to support that part of
Mm-hmm.
my education as well. I'm not quite sure how yet. I'm kind of thinking it'll show itself when it comes up. But yeah, using this platform as a way to facilitate my goals in a different
Yeah.
way.
If you had any advice to give to someone who's starting, what would you want to share with them?
Mm. I would share with them, focus on the business first. having a solid business foundation is huge, because that has eased my anxiety tenfold. So I didn't do that until this last year when I started with Zinni. I didn't realize I needed it until I even forget what highlighted, like, oh, we didn't think about this. And so somebody had suggested Zinni, and I had actually used some of your free resources when I was when I was starting to develop my initial practice stuff, but never did the full program. Going through that has been huge. Similar to like how I feel about my budgeting stuff. I can look at the numbers, I know I'm okay, type thing. Similarly to the business foundation piece, if I can see all these pieces in place and that I know that they're monitoring things on an objective level, it frees up my mental and emotional energy to focus on the stuff that how it makes me feel better. Because I know I'm safe, right?
Yeah,
for lack of better words.
Creating a container.
Yeah,
and I think sometimes my experience in like coaching, this is just coming up from what you're saying, people want to they want the feeling, they want the dopamine hit, and building the business doesn't quite give it like it does, like creating the service and stuff.
Right.
And so the dopamine hits are there to kind of mask the chaos that's not being addressed. You know what I mean?
Right.
Versus when you address that, then there's a lot more ease, when you have that kind of business container. And it's better for the clients too in terms of outcomes. But yeah, I get it. I get that. Like, I just want to create. I want to do the thing,
Yeah. Well, and I did a lot of research.
Yeah.
I did not jump into this like willy-nilly. And at the same time, like, we go back to where we started in this conversation, like me taking like more quicker risks and things along those lines didn't feel as safe because I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, right? Because I did not have a framework set up to assess, here I am, here's where we're going to end up. I had no way to objectively assess that at all. Now I do. And so taking those risks doesn't feel as scary.
Right.
Because I have this way to check myself that makes sense. Versus just, this is how I'm feeling. Is it coming from panic? Is it coming from this?
Right.
Or like, what is it? What's it coming from? So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love data paired with feeling.
Yes. Well, and I absolutely am a person who responds from emotion. And so to help balance, I need data to balance that out.
Yeah. I mean, that's the theme of your story, right? Is like finding the balance and an ongoing kind of recalibration of the nervous system, but also of the business systems and like what you're creating as life keeps evolving and changing and you're moving and all these kinds of things. It's never done. And there is no shame in rebalancing. That is the name of the game. That is life. That is the rest of this journey. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I love what you were saying too about success being defined by your values, right? And so for anyone that's listening, just take a moment and look at like, what do you value? And is that being reflected in your practice?
Yeah.
Right. And that you get to define success. You can define it by a number in your bank account. If that's what you value, you can define it by a feeling. You can define it by, a reflection and outcomes. There's so many different ways you get to choose, but really be clear about what you are creating and what is the marker for you to know that this is working for you.
Yeah. It's a great way of saying it.
Yeah. Thank you, Amity, for being here and for sharing. I love this story.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. For those of you listening, please share this, provide a review if you feel like it, and keep coming back to listen. We love sharing these stories, and we'll see you next time. I hope you loved today's episode. If you're a therapist who's tired of those long hours, low pay, and constantly battling burnout, don't forget our free video training designed just for you on how to build and grow a sustainable, profitable solo or group practice. Head over to zynnyme.com/podcast to check it out today. Until next time.